Today is December 10th. It's the 354th day of the year, and this is the On This Day podcast. Passing away on this day in 1896, Swedish chemist, engineer, and inventor Alfred Nobel. In his last will and testament, he bequeaths his fortune to establish and endow the Nobel Prize. Nobel is born in Stockholm, Sweden in 1833. He's the third of 8 children of inventor Emanuel Nobel. But when Alfred is born, the family lives in deep poverty. 4 of Alfred's 8 siblings die in childhood. Many years later, his father Emanuel's inventions begin to bear fruit. A better method for manufacturing plywood. A new and improved underwater exploding mine. Alfred Nobel is a curious child, and he's particularly interested in explosives. He grows up in his father's armaments factory in St. Petersburg, Russia, which prospers during the Crimean War, and Alfred gets the best education money can buy, learning to speak 5 languages fluently and studying advanced chemistry. While studying in Paris, Nobel meets Ascanio Sobrero, the inventor of nitroglycerin. Sobrero considers the explosive liquid to be too dangerous for any practical uses, but Nobel's curiosity is piqued. When the Crimean War comes to an end and his father's arms business goes bust, the family moves back to Sweden in 1863, and Alfred Nobel focuses his brain on developing nitroglycerin into a controllable explosive. He also invents a handful of associated items, such as the blasting cap and a detonator. Nobel obtains patents for his inventions, and by the end of his lifetime on this day in 1896, he will have received more than 350 patents for his inventions. But before all that, in 1864, tragedy strikes when one of his experiments with nitroglycerin goes wrong, resulting in an explosion that kills several people, including his younger brother Emil. It's devastating for Nobel, but he presses forward with his experiments, builds more factories, and in 1866 discovers that mixing nitroglycerin with a particular fine sand turns the liquid into a paste that can be shaped into rods. He receives the patent the following year in 1867 for this, his most famous invention, what he calls dynamite. Many years later in 1893, he buys an ironworks and turns it into the Bofors Arms Factory. By 1895, he has upwards of 90 factories manufacturing ammunition and explosives. When his brother Ludwig dies in France, a French newspaper confuses Ludwig for his arms manufacturing brother Alfred, and headlines the obituary, quote, "The Merchant of Death is dead." No one knows for sure why Alfred Nobel rewrites his will in 1895. Perhaps he contemplates how he will be remembered when he dies. Whatever the reason, he rewrites his will in secret, and when Alfred Nobel passes away on this day in 1896, many people wonder what will happen to his vast fortune that is the equivalent to several $100 million in today's cold hard American cash. It comes as quite a surprise, then, that he requests that 94% of his estate be invested as a fund, the interest of which shall be annually awarded as prizes to those who have, quote, "conferred the greatest benefit on mankind." Nobel instructs the interest be divided equally 5 ways and given each to a single person who has made the most important discovery or invention in physics, in chemistry, in medicine, to the person who has produced the most outstanding work of an idealistic tendency in literature, and to the person who shall have done the most or the best work for fraternity between the nations, and the abolition or reduction of standing armies and the formation and spreading of peace congresses. While Alfred Nobel's last will and testament revealed after his death on this day in 1896 surprises most everyone, it should come as no surprise that his family tries to have the will declared invalid, but to no avail. The Nobel Foundation is organized in 1900, and the first Nobel Prizes are awarded in 1901. There are 21 days left in the year. On This Day is produced by me, Dave Schultz. Thank you very much for listening. Now, music.